Okay, this is then the Year 7's Body Systems Knowledge Test. And it kind of builds on the first one that we've done, which is the cell biology one, right? And this is then kind of where things are a little bit bigger, right? So we've gone from cells more towards what's happening in the body itself. Right, so complete the first sentence. So what we've got here is we've got cells make up tissues, which make up organs, can't fit it in, organs, which make up organ systems, which make up an organism. Right, so what you're doing is just getting bigger and bigger. Start small with cells, tissues, there's lots of cells, organs, lots of tissues, organ system, lots of organs, organism, lots of organ systems. Right, so circulatory system, its job is to pump blood, and the organ is the heart. Respiratory system is to exchange O2 plus CO2, and the organ is the lungs. The nervous system is to transmit messages, and the main part of that is the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, digestive system is break down and absorb molecules. And what we've got in there is we've got the stomach, we've got the small intestine, we've got the large intestine, we've got the liver, we've got the pancreas, and then the skeletal system is then it supports the body, and the organ is not really an organ, okay, but the whole point in that is then the bones that are then keeping it in exactly the right place. Okay, so this is then labelling parts of the diagram of the breathing system. Now I've cheated a little bit because I couldn't get my writing on very well. So in the head, you've got your nose and your mouth. Air goes from your nose or your mouth down the trachea, or it's sometimes called the windpipe. Then what it does, it goes into the bronchi, which is where it kind of splits into two. Once it goes to the bronchi, it goes through all the kind of little passageways, right, and then what it does, it gets to the air sacs, right, which are then called the alveoli. That is then where gas exchange actually happens. When you're breathing, right, the different parts that are then involved in your breathing, okay, are your diaphragm, which is kind of like a muscular part across your body, and that splits between your abdomen, which is this arrow here, and your thorax. It's kind of like a cutting across the middle. In your thorax, you've got your lungs and you've got your heart. But you've also got your ribs, which are then also part of it, and they're the kind of little white lines there. And in between your ribs, those pink bits there are muscle. So now what we're doing is we're looking at breathing itself, right? So I'll go breathing in first. So number one, the diaphragm, right? The diaphragm goes down. Okay, so that goes down. When that goes down, the area where number two is increases. So therefore, air pressure decreases because all of a sudden you've got less air in there in the same area. And because 2 has then decreased in air pressure, air enters via the mouth, and that is then breathing in. Breathing out, right, what happens this time is, number 1, diaphragm goes up. Number 2, air pressure increases because all of a sudden you've got the same amount of air in a smaller place. Number 3, air out. Okay, and that's breathing. Now, labelling the skeleton. Okay, I've done another kind of little sort of cheat here. And what you're going to need to do is you're just going to need to pause the video at this point, and you're going to have to go round all the different bones, right? Because you kind of need to know them. Name 4 roles of the skeleton. Okay, so the skeleton, can't even say it, supports. Okay, it's a support. If you didn't have your skeleton, you'd be a big blob on the floor. It also protects. Protection. Right, so if something hits you on the head, right, it's not your brain that takes the pounding, it's your skull. Number 3, it allows movement. Right, if you haven't got your bones, because bones all kind of work like levers and things like that, you wouldn't have any movement. And also, number 4, it will also make new red blood cells. And it does make other things as well. Right, now that's actually not the skeleton itself, what it is, it's the bone marrow, particularly in the bones in the legs. Name 3 types of joints and give an example of each. Right, there are more types of joints than this, right? But ball plus socket. We'll do fixed, and we'll do hinge. Okay, so ball and socket is shoulder and hip. Right, so think about it. So what a ball and socket is, it's a bit like fist. Hand around the outside of it, and then the fist can then move in it in any kind of way. Fixed is the skull, right? So in your head, when you came out as a baby, it was soft, and then it's hardened up. Hinge is your elbow and your knee. Your knee. All right. So again, my elbow. Right. What it can do is get this right. Right. It'll move like that as a hinge. What is meant when muscles are described as antagonistic, describe how the biceps work in your arm, right? So antagonistic always means there's 2 muscles, right? And what they do is let's think about it now, the bicep, and you've got your tricep, right? So what the bicep does, you've got your arm up like that. Can I get it right? I can't get it right. Right, you've got your arm up like that. This muscle, when it contracts, lifts my arm up. This muscle, when it contracts, when it relaxes, is this muscle here that's pulling it. So they're antagonistic. So for me to lift my arm up, it's this one that contracts. For me to pull my arm down, it's this one that contracts. And they are then antagonistic muscles. Okay, bicep is the one, I don't know, top of your arm. And the tricep one is then at the bottom of your arm. Right, keywords. Right, the structure inside the lungs where gas exchange takes place with the blood is the alveoli. Right, they look a bit like little grapes. The strong, smooth tissue that covers the end of bones to prevent them rubbing together. Cartilage. Breathe out to remove carbon dioxide. Exhale. To breathe in to take in oxygen. Inhale. Joins a muscle to a bone. Tendon. Joins a bone to a bone, ligament, and then the kind of the liquid in between the bones to reduce friction is the synovial fluid. Now again, right, there's a lot of words that you need to know in this, right? A lot of words, a lot of labelling and a lot of understanding, all right? But you need to know it, and you need to know it in detail. So once you've filled in the worksheet from the video, go to the blank version, right? And when you've actually gone through the blank version, test yourself as you go, keep on going down. Right, because the more you know it, the better it is, and loads of this then comes up in year 10 and 11 as well.